are live, Adam.
Nice.
What's up, everyone here? This is Eric from the Blockchain Center here. And what's up, Adam?
Not much, man.
It's Wednesday, my dudes. For
you know
real.
what that means.
It's Dev Wednesday.
That's right.
I've been thinking about it, and I really wanted to. Last week we did Rust, and the week before that we did a new version of JavaScript, Dino. And what I was really interested in doing was Python this week. Are you down?
Oh, for sure. Python's the best. I bought actually an old 2.7 book just because, like, for nostalgic purposes. Recently, just so it could be on my bookshelf, and in case I ever came across some old code, I picked it up for like $2.70. So looks good, makes me look smart. My library, and
$2.70 for 2.7. That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, that's interesting because today I wanted to talk about not just Python, but something called a context manager and how we can use it for interacting with cryptocurrency APIs.
Nice.
This can be reused for if you're trying to do some algorithmic trading, if you want to use any type of endpoint that you're interested in, and if you're interested in learning about API development for Python, this is a great start. Because what we're going to cover today is we're going to cover not just magic methods, but also how to curl and how to use something called insomnia to actually hit the endpoint of our selection. And I think today we're going to use CoinMarketCap. Now, a reason why I wanted to do CoinMarketCap is not just because I like it as a source of information, but it also gives you an API key that we'll probably show on stream. But it's really good for you to get your chops up, and it is for a sandbox environment. So it's really cool. So
you're just gonna ping the server and have it respond with a couple different JSON objects and figure out what's all right.
Yeah, we're gonna but we're also gonna try to ingest it, but try to use the Pythonic way of objects, because there's something called a dunder init and dunder enter. So when you instantiate a Pythonic object, it'll do a subroutine as a result, and we're going to pass it some arguments, and we'll see what's going on. All right.
Nice.
Okay. So what I did first, kind of cooking show style, was let's see. Let's bring up the screen real quick.
Do you have the deck to share live, by the way? Can I pop that link in case anyone wants?
What do you want to see?
Yeah, I think everybody wants to see this so they can follow along.
Let's see. You go here.
You can share a non-editable link, right?
No, I got it right here.
Okay.
So we're going to get an API key from CoinMarketCap. I'm going to use Insomnia to ping the endpoint. We're going to create a connection context manager for CoinMarketCap CMC, and we're going to introduce the dunder init method, so we can really, work out exactly what we want to learn about that. I think that we're going to. I want to explain the difference between a sandbox environment and a professional host environment, because if you want to practice on, for instance, like on CoinMarketCap, you can actually interact with multiple. It has so many different features. I didn't even break half of them. Basically, they have like a really good sandbox environment where you can launch trades, and so you don't have to feel afraid about like hitting, using money that's not yours or money that you don't want to affect in your portfolio. And that sandbox environment really allows you to, let me see, make this bigger. Do some stuff that just because you're learning how to code, you don't have to worry about it. And then you can move on to the professional actual, like if you're, say, using it at an exchange. and how we can use the same code over and over again, but we can have different destinations. And we're going to learn about that. Okay. Yeah, I like that one. Then we're going to learn about doing actual get rest commands and how the headers of that are super important. That's basically where our credentials from our API key are going to go. If we have time today, I wasn't sure if we're going to, but basically I want to be able to have, since that we're going to get JSON back, that we also get, deserialize it. So we can get like a to JSON and from JSON method inside that. But also,
is that similar to like Stringify?
Yeah, totally. We'll probably use Stringify inside of it.
Yeah.
I just want to just create something called JSON or from JSON.
Oh, got it.
And then we're going to use the dunder to dunder. I'm not sure if we're going to get to exit because I think it's like a one-shot deal. If you have like a WebSocket, is probably really important for you to connect to it and then disconnect to it. So we're probably just going to pass on that one, but we'll talk about it. But enter and dunder in it are the serious topics for today. And we're going to do some error handling. Hopefully we can get some debugging and write some unit tests. But if we don't, it's okay. So we are here. Let's see. So this is CoinMarketCap. I think everybody has gone here at least once. They have cool. This is the developer section. So if you look at CoinMarketCap, if you just go to the regular one, let's just copy that. It has a really great, table here showing the ups and downs of all the different coins, which is super cool. But if you are like me and a developer and you want to get this information, you don't have to scrape from this URL. You actually can just ask for it. So I want to ask, what is the price of Bitcoin without going to this website, or because I want to use it in my script. There's lots of different reasons. So you could, you can get this information and write it, be a part of your script. Like for instance, if you wrote a script, like, oh, okay, if the price of Bitcoin falls under 8,000, buy a bunch of it. These are like very simple commands, but the reason why we would use Python in this instance is because you want to be able to launch trades or gather information without going through a user interface like this with a mouse. And we can go so fast. You know what I mean? So let's see if we go back to the API. Let's see. We can do back testing, chart the data, run experiments, go faster. That's kind of like how it is. Check in on how the exchanges are doing. If you're doing arbitrage, you want to be able to have these things set up for you. It's really great. So let's see. So like the basic thing and the first thing that we're trying to do is get an API key, and that's super important. I went ahead and did that. So let's see here. Okay, cool. So if you sign up, I already signed up with my email here and got it. And once you get to the developer section, let's see.
Their API has come a long, long way.
Yeah, it has.
Long way.
Yeah, it's like super, super friendly to use. And that's what we're going to get into. We can actually like learn how to curl it from here. I'm going to expose my API key mainly because if someone comes in here, I can really just regenerate it super fast. And, I'm not going to worry about it too much. So like, oh no, you got the API key. If it does matter once you have money on there, and this is not the sandbox environment for sure. So let's see. It says sign up for a free developer portal account, which I just did. Blah blah blah. Click, got one. Yeah, you had to put your email, and then you'll just register and copy your API key, and we can start doing test calls. You feel me?
Yeah. So how are we gonna what do we do other than from the curl environment? I think you're gonna go to Insomnia, right? So can you show us an example? Like let's full screen and just see what it is real quick. You wanna
Sure. Okay. So just for real quick, this is the curl and how it would happen. You would say curl, and then you put these headers inside of it, and then you would say, oh, this is going to be JSON, and this is the actual arguments that you're going to put after it, and this is the actual sandbox API URL. I'm going to copy all of this here just so we can have it. Okay. Let's just keep this here so we can see the format of everything. You can really disassemble it, like not just with curl. Like we're going to see, okay, really all it's doing is that there's two different headers. There's like this URL.
You want to zoom in there real quick? A little bit.
Sure.
Good.
Cool. So we can see, take this off. See, it's really quick. And curl is super easy to use. You know, I don't really care. Let me just expose my API key just so we can just have it on hand, and I'll regenerate the key afterwards. So this is their key. We don't care about that key. This is our key. This is our key. Okay. Bam. Now we all know. Too bad. All right. So we can do curl, but like what you said, I think the industry standard that a lot of people use is Postman. I've been getting into a client called Insomnia, which is basically the same thing. No lie. But let's see. It does a lot of things that Postman does, and I can set up an environment. I can make the environment variables. I can set up new requests. So I think the new request that we're going to do is list all coins. It's going to be a get verb. Check that out. Okay, so we got we can put the URL in here. We can put any type of body payload in case we're doing a post request in JSON, XML, YAML, anything really. They've just added like cool GraphQL support, so you can do live auto completion if you were doing OAuth 2 tokens, bearer tokens, basic authentication with username and passwords. It's all there. So
can you explain what a token is in its basic form, like exactly what it is?
Okay, so really in its basic form, we're going to ask for its name. It's just basically in its basic form. We're looking at it like
it's just something it gives you to access the site after you've logged in, so you're not storing your password, right? That's like what you're saying, correct? Or maybe some kind of value, cryptographic hash, whatever it might be, that allows you to sign instead of storing like a password, entering it in every time the site authorizes you, puts it in your cache.
Yeah, so right now, if I wanted to log into CoinMarketCap, I would have to log in here and then type it in, wait for a minute, and then have access to the same information. So basically, the coin in all of its information has a rank, it has a name, has a market cap, price, a volume, the supply, the change for 24 hours, and we got a nice little graph for the 7-day. And we have all this pagination, and it really does look good. But and when we get down to like in the Python world, we just want to get access to the data. So what I'm going to do here is this is the URL that we were given for you can see that it's under cryptocurrency, the listings, and everything that's the latest. All right. To check it out. All right, great. So we have this, paste that right in here. And let's just say send. Okay, so we just hit send and it gives us an error, which is great actually. The API key is missing because we're hitting this endpoint and it doesn't know who we are. So that's kind of like what it was talking about when we saw this. And we want to be able to add these to our headers. So they gave us that. We have a new header here. Well, it's a custom header just for CoinMarketCap, not for all APIs. They call it X CoinMarketCap Pro API key. And then we got to paste in our unique key. We're doing this manually. This is a manual process. And we want to be able to say application. Oh, no, accept. Application/JSON. Now you can start seeing it does like cool autocomplete features because this is a common, this is if not the most common response for what like the MIME type will be back to it. So let's see if we can actually send it now and get a different turn. Great, bam. Got a response, 200 saying okay. And we have 325 milliseconds between that. Let's see.
Yeah.
So you can see here that it says we got a big JSON object here. But basically it's very simple and there's only 2 keys here. Let's zoom in on this. Okay. So you actually can see that there's 2 keys here, status and data. We got the timestamp, we got the error code, error message 20, the credit count, and for each datum, basically exactly how we saw on CoinMarketCap, we got just like the bare minimum JSON. So we can see Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, SV, Litecoin, blah, blah. But now we got this stripped down, no graphics. You have the ID, it's number 1, it's rank, Bitcoin, BTC, the slug, or like its lowercase name, its date that was added. You see like the exact timing, it's mineable, and all these different things that CoinMarketCap keeps track of. Cool, right?
You
there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
So yeah, so that it's successful. So basically, when you're trying to, this by itself is super important for most API developers. Be like, okay, yo, what exactly am I doing here, and how do I get it? And this is not curl. This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about time and speed. Like you got this done in 325 milliseconds. That's extremely fast versus like you clicking to a user interface and being able to search these things.
Yeah, the request response time is much higher on a download of it and a compiling of an entire web page from your browser and everything else. And then on top of that, if you have a bot script and you wanted to comb the page for everything else, it's much easier to go through the API. And you can
it's best.
Yeah, you can iterate through basically all this data. So like there's a lot of different like programs out there where you can scrape, I guess, all the data you want. There's all these FX traders that are like broed out. Like, yo, dude, like, look at my bot script. It's the best. I manually entered into Chrome, whatever. Listen, it doesn't hold a candle
Just asking for we don't have to scrape it. We just ask nicely.
It tells you. And
you can just ask nicely and you don't have to scrape anything. It's really great. It says, I'm actually just looking through this right now, and I could probably, without programming in Python, just set up this right here and be able to execute. Like I was thinking like, okay, maybe I can make a script to like liquidate all of my portfolio into Bitcoin and like a panic button.
Yeah.
That's
the red button. I actually have
you have a red button script?
I have not in liquidating crypto, but for something else. Yeah, I've written a couple red button scripts in this very similar.
Oh yeah. The market's like crashing and you want to go down to like a stable coin. So many different cool strategies you can do just from this. And now we're going to add the automation aspect, and we're going to go to Python. So
we got all this data, right? And now what do you do with this data, Eric? And now where
I want to ingest it. I want to use it in Python.
Okay, great. That's showing us basically a human representation of what the computer's getting. And what Eric's going to do next is to store this in Python in a certain way. So what do you got to do first? Let's start there.
All right, let's just start from the top. The stuff that they were showing me, they had some code on there for Python 2.7, so we'll just stay there for the now, even though we're deprecated. We'll just stick with me. Just because
I think there's a lot of debate on whether 2.7 is actually deprecated, even within the Python community. Like people,
a lot of people. There's a lot of legacy systems that still use it, but it's asynchronous methods and decoration are super important.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way around it. Like if you're trying to set up like a Flask server and trying to create a something that doesn't have a one shot, and you have be able to access just simple things like HTTP2 you can't do in 2.7 because the async IO libraries aren't suited for it.
You can straight up email the guy that wrote Python out of the book, and he just responds straight up.
This code is horrible. So let's see. I'm gonna see live streaming. Let's see, blockchain center, live stream. I'm gonna make a new directory for this, and we'll call it coin market cap. Amazing. Coin market cap. Great, done. So, but the first thing you do with Python is that you want to create a virtual environment. Virtual MVM is kind of like the standard here. And what this command will do was, instead of saying, without doing that, you get a, if you say which Python and you have it installed, it'll tell you which one. So if I say Python, it'll just run 2.7. You can install really any version that you want, because what this will allow us to do is create the virtual environment. You can do it manually by saying source VM. Let's see, bin activate. And so this will be able, so we can install packages, and it will only install to this folder. You familiar with that?
Yep.
Cool.
I don't use VMs. Because
it's not a VM. It's not a VM. It's a VN.
I said it. I meant to say VNV is like what I was trying to say, but it kind of came together as one. But no, I don't use virtual environments. For
Python you have to, because what happens is that if you install something, it'll install globally, and it doesn't make sense because one version of a program will definitely not coincide with another version.
Uninstall and reinstall Linux boxes so often that I've never. I just go straight.
No, when you're doing installing from like a continuous integration deployment, this is kind of like what I was saying, is that you slip in the source from there.
Yep. No, I understand the need for it. never had the need. Like I guess like never did properly is the correct way to say it. Never.
Oh, we're here. We're
here.
Let's see. What we're going to do here now is that if you look inside, we just have that folder. And we'll say, just open up a new code here, just to make sure that we know where we are. And really what you can do here in VS Code, just to set up your environment, is to say Python, and we are going to select a linter just so we can keep everything clean. I like Flake 8. And down here, if you can see it, I'm trying to make this bigger. It tells you that which Python it is, but that's for the whole system. Sure. And if you let's see, blah blah blah, of coding. My market cap. And you can see it creates these folders for you, so we can say that one, and that's the interpreter. Select. Cool. And actually knows that it's a virtual environment. So if I do my control tilde and open up my terminal, it'll actually source it for me and start up that virtual environment like every time for me. So if I exit and I start up a new one, bam, virtual environment, ready to use. Just why another feature for for modern IDEs like PyCharm. We'll do this as well. So it'll be like, okay, which virtual environment? So that's step one. Step two, I think that we have to install. I just so for aesthetics, we'll install IPython. Pip install Python. Just get that juicy autocomplete terminal experience that I love. We're also going to install requests. Cool. So if you say pip freeze, see exactly what we just installed.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of a lot, actually, for a program that doesn't do anything yet. So I'm just going to keep this. Let's just keep a copy around. So I'll say pip freeze. Requirements.txt, so we can save it for later in case. That's the append. Cool. So let's see. We can actually see our requirements here.
Did it just throw a warning for Python 2.7?
Yeah, it's like, why are you still doing this, bro? Let's see what that says. Deprecation reached the end of its life on January 1st.
It did not. That's not true.
So pip will drop support of Python 2.7. Interesting. Wow.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I get this thing. I mean, we're just working in.
No, I didn't know pip. Anyways, long story.
It's gonna just tell you that the package manager is not gonna like you in a year. We'll see. Oh, bam! All right, so we're at the top. Let's make. We're just make a new file here called CoinMarketCap, and we'll just start. So I like to do here too is that I try to like keep myself sane and know what's installed, and why I like to have IPython around it, just to make sure that when I'm writing code that everything is feasible and makes sense. So if I say import the libraries that I'm going to use called your URL parse is inside here already. Cool. That works. We're going to import requests, which is going to do our get requests. That works. So I'm just like, my sanity, and let's see. Let's import JSON. Cool. All three of these work. Bam. Go into the script. Press JSON. Great. So
notice the difference between this and Dino, by the way, that we talked about the other week. You have to install and then pull these in, just as a highlight and a homage, I guess, to what you were talking about previously, Eric.
Yeah, it's interesting how that works because it is centralized in a way that we are getting it from pip, which is actually in one way or another can introduce bugs or even security holes, because you may just be like, oh, it's from pip, we can install it.
Yeah,
who knows? So this is why I wanted to talk about this today, because it's super important. So we're trying to be more Pythonic, not do things by hand. So we're going to write a class, and we're going to call it Coin Connection. And it can accept a whole object as itself. But the idea is, and this is what I wanted to talk about today, was that we have two magic methods that we are going to work today with, and we are talking on Dunder init. If you work with JavaScript, it's kind of like it is like the constructor, and this is like a life cycle. So when these things start, these subroutines will automatically start because they are a part of it. So if I was going to create a new object, it's going to inherit itself, because you're creating a whole new object. It will be a separate thing in memory, and the only thing that we can care about right now are three things, and we'll say let's see, API key, we only care about the host name, and we'll just say args. And for those at home, usually just means keyword arguments, just other things outside of that if you're to pass it in. And this is the time for just to gain a little bit more context, so we're just not looking at a screen. When we look at when we're looking at it, we want to express each line as like an object, like Bitcoin is a thing, Mm-hmm. Bitcoin has a name, it's number one, has a price,
Yeah, it's an object on a list. It's a whole thing by itself with all its information.
No, it's a list of objects. How about that? So this is a coin, and that coin's name is Bitcoin, and it's number one. That's kind of what we're getting at. And that's how, if we look at to connect it to the API, you can see that's exactly how it's expressed. So each one of these things we can accept into our object and just start talking about it and use it inside of our but that's like the context. So if you're looking at CoinMarketCap, you want to be able to grab those things. So that
Halifax, we're doing good, by the way.
Say again?
Said Halifax, we're doing good, by the way. Long live Python. I get a couple comments. Nice.
Yay. Some Python people in the chat?
I don't know. The guy has a Tron avatar, so.
Okay. So let's just go over about it. So like every object that we're going to hear is going to have a key. So we'll say self.key, and we'll take in that argument that comes in, and we'll say is equal to key. We'll say that what? Let's see, self host is equal to host. Self dot Let's see. We'll call it a payload. No, we're not going to actually send anything right now, but we definitely will need headers. We're going to end that to an empty dictionary. We're going to want to get something back, so we'll call response. So instead of declaring all of these like global variables, we're going to just have
Scoped.
we're going to have it scoped directly to this object, this Pythonic object.
So when we're talking about scope, guys, what we're talking about is literally the level by which something can see. So like sometimes you have public private variables. Those are two different scopes, public and private scopes. Scopes are just essentially like looking through it with a certain lens. You might be able to see some things and then other things you wouldn't be able to. And this is important for like subroutines and memory allocation as he's typing up the other things that he's doing right now, because you don't want a massive program that's just running tons of memory, eating away at it. You don't want things that aren't supposed to be accessed outside of other things. You might want to reuse these variables in another subroutine that somebody else wrote that you don't know that they have. So by declaring them within this scope and predefining them and then having them close out, it's really important.
So let's see. You can see URL parse is what I talked about over here. URL parse. You can see that URL parse has a bunch of commands that we can work with. What we're doing is URL join. We're going to use today. So you can see that when we create a new object, we're going to instantiate it with the enter command. So let's see. The URL we're going to take. The URL is basically a combination of the host name, which changed, which is why we're not hard coding it right now, and the args. So basically, anything. Let's see. The arguments in this case. Oh, did I close it? Let's see. That's fine. We can actually prepend this from right now. We'll use it. Maybe we don't. We could probably just use the self.host for the URL. But the important part, and this is where we do the comparison to Insomnia, is see here what we did is that we slipped in our API key here in the header. And this is what we're doing here on the bare level with Python too. So we're going to say headers are going to be a dictionary where cool. So when we say that we have the headers here, it's the same exact thing that we did when we went over here, like on Postman or Insomnia. And we're just making sure that it knows who we are, and that's the key, and this is the value, and we're going to get back JSON. So let's see. There. Come back over here. Got the headers. Cool. So, this might fail. So it's the try except clause. So let's see. We're going to get so everything is going to live literally when we create this thing, it's going to have the entire response inside of here anyway. So we'll say request.request. And we're going to do a get request. Okay. You can see, actually, that's nice. So we can get, we have options, head, post, put, patch, all the different verbs you can do for REST directly from here. We're going to do the URL, which is the same as when we were doing it with this one. You saw that this is the URL that they're using.
Okay.
So we'll say self host. I won't use a URL join today. It's fine. Let's see, we got here. I think it asks for the headers directly, so we can just say headers self.headers. So you can actually have different headers for each object. It's just literally going to look at it as it were as itself. Feel me?
Because you passed an argument of self in the beginning of the subroutine, correct?
Precisely. So let's see. We got. All right. So there's a bunch of things that can go wrong, and 3 of the main ones that we can do, we can accept, like, handle those errors. Let's see, requests. You can, let's read it right now. We can do a.
Why don't we just do a catch-all? Why don't we just do a catch-all error right now?
Well, there's only 3 main ones.
Okay.
There's like one where we actually connect. So we have connection error. Well, we want to basically catch for a timeout, like if our connection times out. And the final one, or off the top of my head, do all these exceptions are there, but the prominent one here is the HTTP error. But it can be encoding errors, timeouts, valid URLs. There's a lot already that it'll catch for you. For this one, we're going to talk about straight HTTP
with a
errors.
prefabbed response, correct? Because you're using this imported library.
Yeah, and then you can make custom errors in Python.
Yeah,
but we'll just call it like as E. And we're not going to do anything crazy. We'll just print out the response. Content. Sweet.
Okay.
That's basic. That's very plain and simple.
Okay, now, let's go to the top real quick, and let's just scroll down and go through everything that we got here. So guys that are a little bit newer, on the top, you're importing the different types of libraries that you're using for this specific chunk of code that we're writing in cmc.py. When you go down, you're naming an object, you're naming a class, which is essentially a subroutine. It's going to run something. It's passing.
These are the subroutines.
Well, I'm sorry, I misspoke. You're naming an object, or you're passing in an object to a class. Okay. And these different subroutines that he's written up here, where it's passing a init, that's getting the initial variables. The reason it's called a init is because it's initial, right? And
it's like a constructor in JavaScript, if people are more familiar.
Exactly.
JavaScript, or like
these different values that he's passing into essentially what amounts to a subroutine or function, if you're thinking about it that way, are the different values that are going to be present during this process. Self.key, he's just declaring the variables. Go down, enter.
So you don't have to actually run this. It'll just run automatically.
Sure. And so enter is going to run. It's going to pass in the headers. The key that we talked about, the key that Eric showed you on the screen, is going to be a global variable, an environmental variable for this specific script. And the content type, that's just a standard way of saying, look, we're looking for some JSON, and then try is, say it's not working or whatever the hell. This is where it's going to take an attempt and send in a response, get the request back, check what's going on. And then the exceptions are, let's say something goes haywire, get connection, timeout, exception HTTP, and then that's exporting and printing out to the console with the response.content. And that just basically talks about what just happened, the accept, in a very simple way. I guess I could probably get into more detail, but that's just broad strokes. Might have said a couple things that were wrong, but close enough. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you got it right. So, to me, this is the last part of it that we're going to actually use it. So I'm just going to call it CMC, and just instantiate that new object here, coin connection, and we're going to get the key. It's going to be equal to, let's show it on stream again.
Now, typically you would store these types of values, guys, as an environmental variable, but since we're just running a simple script in a sandbox, it's going to put it right there.
We're going to put it right there. The only hard code thing that we're going to do. But because we didn't hard code it completely and we're passing it in here as a keyword argument, then we can change it because, for instance, if we don't use a sandbox environment,
you put a variable in that's passed in from the environment, which is
because it'd be like, oh, I'm in the development environment. So we'll be here and we'll say post. That's cool too, because it knows that it's a part of this object, so it'll actually autocomplete for me. Paste that in. That's the sandbox URL. And let's see. I think that's if we wanted to add more arguments to that as well, we can do pagination. But like, I don't really care about pagination.
No, let's just go. Let's just go. Let's show it operate.
Sweet. Okay, so let's find out what we're getting. Invalid syntax. Oh yeah, we got to pass in self. Because is itself every time. Key is. Oh, okay. Well, we don't have to call it API key. We'll just call it key. That. This is called never used. All right, cool. Let's get rid of it. Done. JSON's not called yet either. Just comment that out real quick. Tidy. 2 blank lines. Sweet. Note this. This is a bunch of white lines. Flake8 really does kind of make your code really look cleaner.
Did you not declare CMC? Is that why it's
Oh, it was never used.
Oh, okay.
You're declaring it right there.
Yeah, no.
It's the 2 blank lines after a class. Okay. And it always yells at me. We always have to have one.
You got to talk to your computer. You and your computer getting arguments. Do you?
A little bit. This is the whole thing. Let's see what we got here.
Caboodle.
So let's save this. What I'm going to do actually is copy this, and we'll just try to run it. And let's try to get for the audience. That's kind of like why I love IPython too, because then I can quickly like figure out exactly what I'm doing here. I'll paste in the whole thing. Bam. Takes in 4 arguments, 3 given. Oh, okay. Interesting. You're right. It does take 2 arguments, and it's true. Let's just get rid of args real quick. Python. The response, huh? Why is that? Let's see. What should I do? First of all, let's see if we can create a launcher. I'm going to try to debug this.
Wait. So
we're just going to say Python and then this file we're going to try to save a debug session so I can.
So one of the great things about this IDE and what Eric's doing right now is he's printing out exactly what the computer is communicating with, so you can see what's going on, right? So
yeah, we're gonna debug it because we don't exactly know why it's failing here. So if I run this, give me syntax errors. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is still here. Clear it, and we'll put. All right, so I'm not sure it's running, but let's just try to break it. So if we have the current file here, what?
where's the response stored?
Let's try it. Response stored in a local variable. Okay, so we're here and we're trying to see what's inside here. We can step through. So we're actually stepping through the connection so we can see that we're passing the key and the host. And it actually worked for at least, let's see. So we have a thing called response, and it says we have host and a key here, but no headers. Why is that? When I declared it here. Why don't you start? Let's see.
Why is there a red thing to the left? Obviously.
Oh, that's the break point.
Okay.
Interesting. Maybe I will take this out of the.
You can't take it out because you got the key in it, right?
Say again. Interesting. Let's try that again. Blick. Okay. So it definitely got the requests module. Ooh, that's a lot of stuff. Too long, didn't read. So we definitely have host. So we know that the host came in, right? We know that the key came in. So that's what we got here, self.key, self.host. But self.headers is still missing for some reason. All right. Well, you know what we'll do? It's interesting that the headers.
You scroll up real quick.
Sure.
You didn't declare headers in the definite.
Yeah, headers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did. I'm sorry. Well, then why key? Because you're inputting the key variable before.
Well, we're getting the key from here. We're getting the key and we're getting the host.
Yeah, but then self.key equals key. Oh, you're inserting the key. Okay, I got it. Host.
Yeah.
Quargs. Try args, right? No? Shouldn't do anything?
Maybe we have to return self. Stop this. Why don't you want to work? Interesting.
Did you easy bake oven it? Can you compare? Or we went wrong?
Let's see. Dum 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 dum. Let's see. Because when you create that new object, it should run this first. Now, let's see what we got here.
Request.
Oh, I know why. Because we didn't actually use we
Parse
didn't
it.
actually no, okay. This is the biggest portion of context managers is the with command. Say with. Let's see. This is actually the biggest thing that we should be doing. So let's see. Give me 1 second. Let me try to get it. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Let's see where we're at. Okay. So I would say instead of I would say which makes this different from like a normal instantiation. This is exactly why. So you want to say with this connection. And that's super important because it will tell Python that there is going to be those dunder methods.
The CMC, the way you wrote it before didn't look right to me, but that's because I'm not like a Python guy like you. As CMC. Yeah, I see.
Yes, as CMC.
That's what I was like when you hit just equal, I like thought, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It just didn't look super. I don't know enough about it, honestly. Gotta play it. Let's see play the best hits.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't running, because when you say with this and this is what the basically of the
yeah, I got
talk is that when you get coin connection, then let's see what it will do. Click attribute error exit. Yeah, let's just let's add that real quick. Def exit. That will need an exit because, like, for instance, if you're opening up a file, if you ever open up a file, you should use its context manager because it'll close the file for you.
Sure.
It's the nice way of doing it. This is like a one-off call. If you're dealing with something like on the hard drive, it's better to do that kind of thing.
Sure. Python's a weird higher level language, though. It's like somewhere in between.
It's weird. No, I don't think it's weird. It's almost like English.
No, I meant like it gives you like a lot of loose, like, how do I put this? Its structure is like, it gives you like some of the same capabilities of the lower level language, right? Like you have a lot of control over the computer, but then also gives you like a lot of higher level stuff. Like you can still do, if I'm not mistaken, like some degree of like memory management, things like that, correct? Through Python libraries.
Yeah, you can make it go faster. See, type error takes no arguments. What do you mean?
Put self. Whatever. Just go for it.
What do you mean whatever? What do you mean whatever? Okay, so we'll just say they type value and trace back. Let's see what that will do. Oh, look at that. So we actually did get something back. Oh, it worked. So that's great. So we'll copy all this. So we actually can explore this real quick. Let's see. We'll just break it here at this print statement and run it here. So just so we can really explore what's going on, it with that context manager, it did self dot headers.
Okay.
It's going through, so we can see it building it up.
Got it.
Here's the headers.
Sure.
We're going to go through the request statement, and then let's see. And let's see. So since we have CMC, it should be somewhere in memory.
Response. Go to response. Globals.
Oh no. You know, this is why I like using IPython too. So in case like it dies too quickly because it's a one-off script, we can just like put it inside here. Let's just clear Python. Cool. So we got a response. So let's see. We'll just say CMC dot response. That's what that is. Oh, cool. So we got response, but CMC, that object that we created has everything that we created. So we can see that those headers that we were talking about are there. We can see that this is the host that we gave it. These are all properties of this object, and that's what's super powerful about context managers, because once we instantiated it, it has all of the information that we had here. So we'll say, since we know that there's a response, let's look at, I think it's content.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Boom.
So so what we did is that we got everything back from like we did.
So Prism, whatever is listed there, if you can see that top right-ish middle right, Prism, that's the coin.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like nice here.
Yeah.
So we actually can explore this. Let's explore it real quick.
Okay.
Let's import JSON. I think we did that already.
So you commented out.
So if we got everything back, let's we'll just say response is equal to JSON dot dump s. Yeah. S. Paste in the response.cmc response.content.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, so we can like decode it. So like we can actually just go in here and be like, okay, cmc.response. Let's see. Oh, it's load s. Let's do CMC response.text. Great. Now it's Pythonic. Now we can actually get to it. So if we were to look over to here and we wanted to get everything for Bitcoin that we know from, so we're kind of blind right now, but we know that if we look at it here and we wanted to get to, we know it's going to be the first one inside of data. And that's the first one. So if we go in here, you can see that. Let's see.
Move it to the top of your screen. There's a banner on the bottom. It's hard to see.
Oh, don't know how to do that. Let's see.
Just clear. I know. Okay, go for it.
Cool. So let's say we get data. Yes, we do. And I think that it's the first one series. Yeah. So this is great. This is Bitcoin. We know that since we looked at it, this is the first entry inside data. This is now a Python dictionary, so we can iterate through it pretty quickly.
So these different. So what Eric's doing here. So say like you wanted to sort not by, rank or anything else, which is like the default way that CMC is doing it. Say like for some reason Bitcoin got outranked. Like you can write different pieces of code to sort them the way you want. So you could search for name you apostrophes Bitcoin. Like you could change the name of it, the ticker symbol, or whatever kind of data they get you here, and you can manipulate it. The main component here is, though, getting it to this stage and knowing that we're logging the response means that the two computers are talking to each other, right? So whatever you're running, whether it's we call those dynamos or lambda functions, like
I was going to test one out. I was like, let me just print out every ticker. So let's see all the names, or we'll just say symbol. We'll print out every symbol. So if we'll say coins are equal to res.data. We'll say for coin and res. Make it so it's on the top here. So we'll say for coin in res dot inside the data. So we're going to iterate through all of the coins, and we're going to say print coin symbol. Damn. So that's basically everything that was sent over. It iterated all through them and printed out their tickers, which is super important. This is like starting from the top down. So we got ETCH, ETH, XRP, BCH insertions of their ID. And I don't believe that's the rank though. And this is just between the ID of them.
Yeah.
So let's just do a quick recap of what we did here, and that's.
Yeah, you're coming up. Yeah, that's about it. So just run through real quick.
Yeah. So let's see. Really, that's super important is that we broke it down into the big sections. Really, what the context manager, quote unquote, it really is this right here, is that we have the with statement. That's like the most important part. And we said with coin connection, meaning this class as CMC, we're going to instantiate that object with these two key word arguments, key and host, which is accepted here. And when you get those things, I would like to populate them inside of this object, and then this object will have the attributes of key and host, because you can have a different host. You have, this is our sandbox environment, so we could probably instantiate another object with our professional environment that'll actually do trades, and that key will be more important. But let's see, we have as a result of that context manager, when you run it, I'm going to run it right now. When this context manager is instantiated, this dunder method enter is executed, as you can see. And we're going to, just like we did with Insomnia earlier in the segment, let's see, right here, we defined the headers that were important for our API endpoint. It's kind of what we're doing here, is that we instantiated this Pythonic object, and we are assigning the headers that are specific to the documentation for CoinMarketCap. Usually this comes up into play like for any type of exchange that you need to actually supply your API and then maybe get a temporary token, and then you would probably define it here. And so we're going to do like a little bit of error checking. We're going to do a get response. We're going to go through that. And there was no errors. So we're seeing self.response should have something. You can see what was really great about VS Code, it's going to give you the entire stack trace. And so you can see that the headers of this object are here. Everything was, the response is 200. So we actually have that. Those connection adapters are there in case they break. We have cookies. This is basically the request, the type of request that we got. So this is the verb is get. The status code is 200. And you can see this is the text that we got back. That's a lot of JSON. So you can see this is the URL that we used. So you can actually see what's going on under the hood. Mm-hmm. It's going to return itself. Now we have this fully instantiated object called CMC, and it's going to print out the response, which here, I don't like this one, the new terminal. That one either, yes. But I have it set up so I get a new terminal every time that I start it up. I have all these open. Close. That one's ugly.
Nice.
That one's ugly. But it's a new terminal every time I start it up. Cool. This one's nice and clean. We're going to run it. Let's just response.txt. Save that. Run it. Great.
Boom.
Actually, boom. And that's my TED talk.
Nice.
No, but it's super important for if you want to have this more. I wouldn't say ergonomic, because definitely using CoinMarketCap, the website itself is super nice.
Listen, it's computer ergonomic. All right.
Yeah.
I'm with it. I get it.
I'm with you too.
All right, guys. I think that's basically the rundown of the first step of building
yeah, because then all of a sudden now you can start building a bot that uses this information in a real way. Because now you'll be like, oh, we're gonna say this is real-time information for the last 24 hours for Project Pi. I don't even know what this is, but now I know exactly when it was added to CoinMarketCap. I know its circulating supply and its price in USD. That's really interesting, because then all of a sudden I can write a script that when it launches and it looks for a certain crypto that you're interested, maybe you're invested in it, and it's 24-hour changes.
Build yourself a nice little dashboard, slash some Material UI on there.
Oh yeah, well that you can start developing an API and then you have your own, so it can, it's definitely really good, and that's definitely the start of all of it.
All right, well, Eric, thanks for talking about context managers and Python and market cap. I'm pretty stoked to maybe use this in some other ways. We can kind of build on what we did here. Maybe
we can make a little strip.
Yeah,
I was thinking. Next week, I'm really interested in getting into something called Ether cluster.
Yeah, I think we should definitely play around with it. We talked about that a little bit. Be really
Yeah, I don't have we got like, open source alternatives to when we were trying to use like because Infura is supposed to be like a great way for Ethereum developers to quickly gain access to the information in the RPC nodes.
Yeah.
And what Ether cluster is basically everything that you would need to run your own RPC endpoint inside your own cloud using Terraform and Kubernetes. I think it's very interesting and super important for if you're writing a DApp and how you're going to run your backend. And you can either use actually they will host this as well, but it would be always faster if you just ran it yourself. But obviously that's a lot of configuration, and maybe we can disambiguize that because anyone who's a DApp developer will need it. And when I was on the phone with what's his name is Yaz Corey, he was super helpful and really is on top of what people need. And I thought that was really a cool project, and I really wanted to follow up with him. And I think Yaz is going to come on the show for next week. So maybe by this time next week, we've already had a chance to run it through, because honestly don't have a lot of time on Kubernetes and would love to.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody hopping on. Definitely want to see that. Eric, I'm stoked. Like I said, we're planning on getting a lot more people in here from the blockchain community, a lot more in-depth breakdowns. We're going to just be growing this out. So definitely, if you haven't subscribed or liked, hit that up. Let us know if you have any comments, questions, concerns, things that you guys wanted to see. Just go on the Blockchain Center website. We got a nice little chat opportunity there, and hit us up. And I'm sure Matt will be happy to respond to all of your questions. So
as well as me, like if there's questions that are going on, I wasn't super looking at chat while this was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Anyone can share APIs for embedding Bitcoin and ETH price in real time from CoinMarketCap. This is exactly what we were doing.
Yeah.
George Cortez at 7:30.
All right. So, Eric, I think we're going to wrap it up. You good with that?
Yeah, we're over time, but you know what? Signing off.
All
Thank
right.
you, everybody, for coming and joining.
Thanks.
Talk to you later.